Good morning. Welcome to some more yoga with me, Emily. I say good morning. You could be watching this at any time of the day, but right now, as I'm recording it, I believe that it is still morning. So we thought let's just restart. I thought that we would do a little bit of fun shoulder work today. So for today's class, you will need two blocks if you have them, but if they're heavy, like these cork ones, you might want to use something a little bit lighter. If you have the foam ones, that's perfect. If you don't have blocks, then you could use like juggling balls or books or something that you don't mind if you accidentally drop it. If that sounds too cryptic, but you don't want to damage your house or your props. So that being said, if you have those things all together, then find a tall seat, cross-legged or on your shins. Legs could be outstretched. Just finding a tall seat, whatever's comfortable for you, whatever's easy for you. For 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. Breath away. A couple more. Getting any little niggles out through the neck, through the spine. And then continue breathing however you need to, whether it's in and out through your nose or your mouth. Taking this moment to step into our bodies. This opportunity to withdraw the senses and to still the mind. With every inhale, imagine your spine lengthening from your tailbone all the way up to the crown of your head. With each exhale, a gentle softening of your front body. On your next inhale, gently lower your left ear to your shoulder. Getting a little bit of a neck release, neck stretch. This might be enough for you. Some of you might reach the right fingertips away on the earth, or maybe you gently add the weight of the left hand to the head without yanking or pulling. Try to keep the spine really long up until the neck. You might feel this down the upper arm, certainly across the shoulder. And then maintaining this lateral flexion in the neck, gently rotate your nose or your chin toward your shoulder. Tuck the chin in slightly. And then you'll get the stretch more to the posterior, but still on the right side. Those big shrug muscles. Last breath here. And then gently release your head, bring your chin to your chest. A couple little half moon circles, a little head bobble. And then we'll switch to the opposite side. Bring your right ear to your shoulder, and then just see how that feels. Maybe you want to add the reach of the left fingertips away. Maybe you add the gentle weight of the right hand on the side of the head. And it's common for one side to be tighter than the other. Usually, whatever side is your dominant hand side will be tighter. Not always. Last couple breaths here. And again, maintaining the lateral flexion. Rotate your nose or chin toward your shoulder. Little tuck of the chin under. Last couple breaths here. And slowly, gently release your head, your hand, a couple little half moon circles, or head bobble, whatever you need. All right, and then make your way to hands and knees, please. Taking your time to transition eventually. Coming to your knees underneath hips, toes can be tucked or untucked behind you. Hands outer shoulder width apart or wider on your mat. A little draw, a little lift of belly button to spine. Spread your fingers nice and wide anytime you're bearing weight on your hands. And then inhale, lift the tailbone, hollow through the lower back, wrap the shoulder blades toward each other, broaden through the collarbones. And then exhale, tuck the tailbone under, round through your spine. Really press it up to the sky. And inhale, slowly ripple into cow. Exhale, round into cat. So a few more of these really simple cat and cow undulations. Imagining your spine moving like seaweed in the waves, really fluid movement. And then knowing that if there's any other natural movement that you'd like to take along the way that would feel really good, then start getting into that. Move however you need to move. Last couple breaths here. And slowly come back to center, little draw of belly button to spine. If you have a cushion or a chip foam block, then you might bring it underneath your left knee and then plant your hands, start to pick up the right leg and just mobilize it. Move however you need to move. I don't care if the rest of your body is moving with the leg, but just waking up the movement of the femur in the hip socket. Last couple breaths here. Good. And then step your right leg back behind you, toes to the floor for a couple breaths. Press the floor away a little bit more with your hands. Some of you might start to pick up that back leg. Still others might start to reach the left fingertips forward. Oh, right to the left arm. Think thumb to the sky, palm to the right. Couple breaths here. You might stay still or you might exhale round, curling through the spine, bringing elbow, knee, and nose toward each other. Inhale, lift back up, and exhale, curl. Last breath. And then exhale, bring your hands back to the floor. Here I am, knocking the books over. Let me go forward a little bit. Right toes to the floor. And then cross your right leg behind the left leg. From here, walk your upper body forward and also over to the left. Now you might stay up high on the fingertips or come down to forearms or maybe forearm on one side, fingertips on the other, and then start to breathe now into the right side of the body, finding that length from the heel all the way up to the fingertips. Last couple breaths. And then slowly, gently back your way out of it. Come back to hands and knees. Little wiggle, little shake, release. Switch the block over to the opposite side. And then plant your hands. Pick the left leg up and start to move it around in the hip socket. Moving however you need to move. Last breath here. And then step the left toes back, toes to the floor. Find that little press, that little lift through the shoulder blades. Maybe you pick up the left leg. Some of you might pick up the right arm, thumb to the sky, palm to the left. Some of you might stay still, really working this core, or exhale, curl into a little ball. Inhale, lift back up. Couple more. wherever you need to be, whether it's in movement or in stillness. Last breath. And then exhale, bring your hands back to the floor, toes to the floor behind you, and then cross the left leg behind the right leg. Walk the upper body forward and also over to the right. And again, you might stay up high or come down low, wherever you need to be, but finding that space now in the left side of the body. Keep that left leg really active. You'll find more of a stretch that way. And slowly inhale, come back to center. Little cat and cow, little wiggle, release however you need to release. Some of you might stay here, moving and grooving in cat and cow. Some of you might rest in child's pose, either knees wide or together, hips back toward the heels. Some of you might choose to take downward facing dog for a few breaths. So wherever you need to be. My friends who are in downward facing dog, you might pedal your heels toward the floor, getting a little bit into the calf muscles, keeping those fingers spread really wide. Okay. Bend your knees, look forward. If you're in child's pose, come up to hands and knees or down dog first. And then on your exhale, walk, step, or hop to the top edge of your mat, coming into standing forward fold. Nice bend in the knees. You could sway a little bit. Sometimes it feels really good to clasp opposite elbows with hands, getting more traction through the spine. Some of you might just rest your hands on a block or rest your elbows on your knees or thighs for a little bit more support. Last couple breaths here. Head heavy, neck long. If your arms are crossed or hands are clasped, release the bind, and with fingertips to your shins or maybe the earth, inhale, lift up, partway, belly button to spine. Find length through the spine. Exhale, let it all go. Couple more on your own time. Imagine that a gust of wind has just caught the torso. So it's feeling that little lift and release. Bend your knees, tuck your chin in toward your chest, slowly start to roll up to standing. One vertebra at a time, slow as you need to go, until eventually you come all the way up to the standing. A couple loops with the shoulders up, back, and down. Little wiggle, release, whatever you need to do to release. And a couple breaths, eyes open or closed. Just notice whatever you notice. And then flicker your eyelids open. Feel a little hug of the legs toward each other. Tailbone to the earth, belly button to spine, shoulder blades on your back. On your inhale, sweep the arms up to the sky. Maybe follow with your gaze. Exhale, dive or fold down to the earth, forward fold. Fingertips to shins, inhale, lift up, partway. Exhale, fold. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. Same thing. Inhale to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up partway. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. One last time. Inhale, lift partway. Exhale, release. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. And then release them by your side. Little wiggle, little shake, noodle, whatever you need to do. Okay. Let's grab blocks if you have them at the top edge of your mat. Chip foam block handy. Inhale, sweep up to the sky. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. You can always use hands on blocks. Exhale, fold. On your inhale, step your right leg back. Release your back knee to the floor or to your chip foam block. And then inhale, come up for low lunge. Back out of the hips, hug the legs toward each other, squeeze the bum, belly button to spine, and then shift forward. And then really squeeze the bum on that right side. So you're getting deep into the hip flexors on that right leg. And then the more that you're able to send the torso back, you'll feel the more you're able to get some length in the front of that hip. Make sure the front heel is grounding down so that you have the stability to stay here. And then maybe you gently float the arms overhead. Couple breaths here. Keep squeezing the bum on the right side. And then grab hold of the sky with your left hand. As you exhale, sweep the right hand to the earth or to a block. And then twist toward that front knee. Wrap both shoulders onto your back, particularly the bottom one. Some of you might stay here. Some of you might charge the back leg towards straight. And then you might be still. You can start to draw big shapes or circles with that top arm. Just mobilizing the shoulder a little bit. Last couple of breaths wherever you need to go. And then exhale, bring the hand back to the floor or maybe to your blocks. As you exhale, shift the hips back, extending through the front leg, half splits. Hands could be on hips, or on blocks, or your tins, or whatever you're using, or maybe the earth. Keep wrapping the right hip forward as you draw the left hip back, belly button to spine. Let's point and flex through those toes. Rock side to side. I don't know about you guys, but being at home on the hard floors, the soles of my feet are feeling quite tight lately. So this feels delightful. And then when you start to peel those front toes back toward you, press the big toe mound forward slightly. There you go. And then it's almost as if you're trying to drag your front heel back toward you. Last couple of breaths here. And then inhale, rock forward. Bring both hands inside your front foot, heel and toe it out so you have a little bit more space, but keep that front foot parallel and that knee really hugging in toward your shoulder. Spin the back shin maybe so it's parallel to the short edge of your mat. This will give you a little bit more space. Keep your hips high as you exhale, melt the heart low. Option one is to stay here, but we want to get into the arms a little bit today, so maybe start to thread the left arm underneath the leg. You can use now the forearm to press into the calf. Calf presses into forearm. Some of you might spread your wings. Some of you might start to wrap the hands around that front thigh. Back of the hand on that left side presses into the thigh, palm facing out. Last couple breaths. Wherever you need to be, hips high, heart low. And slowly, gently unwind, come back to center, spin your back shin parallel with the short edge of your, or long edge of your mat. Tuck the toes, step forward, standing forward fold. Little wiggle, little bounce. Fingertips to shins, inhale, lift up part way. Exhale, let it go. On your inhale, step your left leg back. Release your back knee to the floor or to your chip foam block. And then inhale, come up for half kneeling or low lunge again on the opposite side. Back out of the hips. Really find that hug of the legs toward the center line. Squeeze the bum like crazy on the left side. Belly button to spine. Shoulder blades on the back. And then shift forward. These movements that I'm doing are really exaggerated, right? I'm sure people don't actually come into it like this. But I think it helps give a visual. Maybe. Back toes can be tucked or untucked. And then squeeze that left butt cheek like crazy. Like you want to compress it so much that it'll turn into a diamond. And then that'll help really release through the front of the hip. Last couple breaths here, grounding the front heel. Inhale, the arms up overhead. And then soften through the shrug muscles. Grab hold of the sky with the right hand. Exhale, sweep the left hand to the earth or to a block. Wrap that bottom shoulder onto your back and spiral the upper right ribs open to the sky. You might stay here. You might de-weight the back knee, tucking the toes, or maybe start to draw circles or shapes. Anything that feels good here. Notice if one side felt more mobile than the other. Congratulations, you're human. Last breath here. And then slowly unwind. Come back to center. Shift your hips back, extending through the front leg, half splits. Hands can be on hips or on blocks or wherever they need to be. Really wrap that left hip forward, draw the right hip back, belly button to spine. Flare the toes, peel them back toward your face. Maybe you actually point and flex a little bit, right? Massaging that heel. The plantar fascia starts with the Achilles tendon, right? So it crosses the heel and starts right there, or crosses the back of the ankle. So massaging out the heel can do wonders for plantar fasciitis. Flare the toes, press the big toe mound forward slightly. Last couple breaths here. On your inhale, ripple forward. Bring both hands inside your front foot. Heel and toe it out enough that you can bring that knee in toward the shoulder. You might stay here. You might spin that back shin parallel to the short edge of the mat just to give your hips a little bit more space. Keep the hips high. Exhale. Melt the heart low. Again, option 1 is to stay here. Option 2, thread the right arm underneath the thigh, bringing the hand to the outside of the foot. Option 3, spread the the wings from Beijing Dr. Freud. Maybe you bind around the leg. Hips high, heart low. Wherever you are, last couple breaths. Inhale slowly back out of it. Heel into the front foot back into neutral. Step forward, standing forward fold. Inhale, little partway lift. Exhale, let go. Charge your legs. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the sky. Exhale, hands to prayer. And then release. Shake it out a little bit. Okay, let's get into the shoulders and the wrists and the elbows a little bit. This is where, if you have a block, you might use a block in your hand. If you have juggling balls or something like that, you might use those instead. I might mix it up and then just use one or the other. So grab whatever you have and bring it into the palm of the right hand. Now, if you don't have anything to bring in your hands, that's fine. You can do this without props as well. Belly button to spine, tall posture. And then the idea is we're going to start to play with Indian tea or flame dancing. So start to bring the block toward you. Scoop it underneath the armpit, out to the side, up overhead, and then back down. So doing these spirals works the wrist, the elbow, the shoulder joint in all of the planes of motion. I'm getting nervous about this heavy block in case I drop it on my head or my toe. If that's too easy, maybe you start to go the opposite direction. It can feel a little bit gnarly sometimes. Couple more breaths playing with this movement on the right side. Let the body move with it to give yourself more mobility. Okay, and then come back to center. Eyes closed or open, just pause, couple breaths. Notice whatever you notice from one side to the other. And then we'll switch sides. Left hand, same thing. Scoop it toward the belly, under the armpit, out to the side, overhead, and around. So this can be maybe one of your party tricks. Do you remember parties? What are they like? A bunch of people in the same room? Crazy. Anyway, I once taught a lady who said she was a waitress in Paris, and they had to practice doing this with a tray with a bottle of wine on it so that they could make it through the crowds at the bar or at the restaurant. Last couple breaths. Maybe you're going in reverse. Maybe you're going in the first direction. And then rest in the middle. Again, eyes open or closed. Just notice whatever you notice. I should mention, blocks or balls tend to fall while you're doing this. So if that happens, don't worry about it. Laugh, pick it up, keep going. You'll notice that I asked you to get 2 blocks or balls today. So grab your second block, one in each hand. Are you ready? Let's do both at the same time. So bend the knees, belly button to spine, scoop them in and out and overhead. Blocks or balls will fall as you start doing this. That's okay. Maybe you go the opposite direction. Now I swear it's going to look like I'm showing off, but when one's going one direction and one goes the opposite direction, it's a bit easier. Last couple of breaths, wherever you are. And if your shoulders are sore, it might just be last couple rotator cuff things or one arm at a time. And then get rid of those blocks, shake it out a little bit. Inhale up to the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, lift up partway. Exhale, let it go. Okay, bring your hands to the floor. Come down to hands and knees, and then come down onto your belly. You want a pillow, maybe, or something like that at the top edge of the mat. I'm going to demonstrate it face on because it's a little bit easier for you to see this way. And then bring your arms out into a T. Come up onto the fingertips on the left hand. Press into those left fingertips and slowly start to roll yourself over top of the right shoulder. Now, I'm looking up so I can talk, but your head could be down on the pillow as you do this. Start to roll yourself over top the shoulder. Be very gentle, very slow, and you'll stop anywhere you feel like you need to stop, which might be here, stacking the legs. Maybe you bend the top knee and bring the sole of the foot behind you, sort of like a kickstand. Maybe that top arm reaches up or drapes behind the low back. Couple breaths. Just getting a nice release into the front of the shoulder and opening into the chest. And very gently, as slowly as you came into it, start to rewind, coming back to center. And then spend a couple breaths on your belly, maybe one cheek to the floor. And then when you're ready, stretch the left arm out to the side, come up onto the fingertips on the right hand. Slowly start to press into those right fingertips to roll yourself over top of the left shoulder. Again, maybe the legs will stack. One side could feel so different from the other. Maybe you bend that top knee, bringing the sole of the foot behind you. You might drape the right arm behind the low back. Few breaths here. And slowly, gently unwind. Come back to your belly. Couple breaths. And then start to think about where you'd like to go for your rest, whether it's staying on your belly or lying down on your back for Shavasana. You might rest on your side or in child's pose or maybe in a seated position. And there's no rush to get there. Once you've found your pose of rest, for 3 breaths, inhale through your nose. Exhale, sigh. Breath away. A couple more. Stay here as long as you would like to. Thank you so much for joining me today. Namaste.